Hi, this is Donna. Welcome to DD Paper Crafts. In today's video, we're making a treat bag, small gift bag. This is 6 inches high and it's 3 inches across at the widest part across the base. It comes together pretty quickly. Obviously, you can see there is some additional diagonal scoring involved. What I would say is I'm going to be completely honest about this project, and I have used the wrong weight cardstock. I chose the cardstock because of the colour. It's a 300 GSM and that is a mistake. So I would recommend using a 230, 250 for this. I do like to be honest about these things up front, so I would just recommend that for this particular project, with all the additional scoring, folding and burnishing, you consider the weight of the base cardstock. Having said that, it is a lovely project to put together, so let's get started. The starting cardstock is 11 inches by 8 inches, and this is going to give us 1 3/4 inch sides on the bag. Now, obviously you can make the bag larger, but you'll then run into having to add 2 pieces of cardstock together, so just bear that in mind if you decide to resize. Along the long side, we're going to score it 1 3/4, 3 1/2, 5 1/4, 7, 8 3/4, and 10. And then along the short side, we're going to score at 2 and then at 4 inches. Once all the scoring is in, we're going to rotate back to the long side and we're going to put in the pencil marks, which will indicate where we start our additional score lines. Along the top edge, I've got my 1/2 inch tab over on the right hand side. Make a pencil mark at 7/8 of an inch, 2 5/8 of an inch, 4 3/8 of an inch, 6 1/8 of an inch, 7 7/8 of an inch, and 9 5/8 of an inch. So we're now going to put our additional score lines in. You'll need a stylus and a ruler, and we're going to score from the pencil mark down to the bottom left hand corner within a section, and the pencil mark down to the bottom right hand corner within each section. We'll end up with 6 triangles across the top section. So this process is, if you've seen the shaped treat bag that I made recently for Halloween, this is virtually the same process. The only difference with this one is we're working with 6 sides rather than the 4 that we did for the treat bag. There's our additional score lines, and the next thing to do is just get rid of any pencil marks that you might have along the top edge. Now we'll fold and burnish, and I'm going to burnish the verticals in both directions because this element here will be a valley fold. Then what I'm going to do is mountain fold the diagonals. So that's how the first section will look, and then this score line here is going to face the valley fold. So I'm going to continue that burnish all the way along. Okay, so that's my piece all burnished, and here's a prime example here of what I was saying. I haven't got a very neat point because this is a thick cardstock. So let's now prepare our bag by putting our cut lines in. So we'll start by making the base tabs with the triangles at the top. We're going to cut up each of the verticals along the bottom up to the first horizontal to create our 6 sections to form the base of the piece. And then when we get to the end, we'll cut up the final score line, rotate and remove that, and I'm going to cut a wedge into the next section at the same time. Now I may shape these, take a wedge from them, but I'm going to wait until I start to form the bag to see whether I actually need to do that. So keep the piece in this orientation. I'm going to cut up the next score line like so, and then take a wedge from either side. This is forming our glue tabs to join the piece together, and then take a wedge from the end. Now the last thing that I'm going to do is add in some holes across the top. Depending on what it is that you use to make your holes, you might feel that you're able to add them once the piece is glued together. If you've got a crocodile, for instance, you can probably put the holes in once the piece is assembled. I'm going to use my stationer's hole punch for this, and I'm just going to fold over the first end and then just go in and punch my hole like so, and I'm going to do that all the way along. Then I'm going to fold in the end section for the last one, because my glue tab is going to come underneath and is possibly going to come across my hole, so I'm going to tuck the glue tab under, line up the two ends and then go in, and then I can put the hole in through the glue tab at the same time. Now we can glue our bag together. Before I glue the piece, I'm just going to bring it together roughly and just fold in the end bottom sections and just see whether I'm going to need to trim any of those down. I don't need to take a wedge from the bottom, but what I am going to do is make sure that I get rid of the score lines. Use whichever glue method is your preference. I'm going to use tape in this instance. Push in the tape which is over the hole and then join up the bag, lining up the score lines so that they run all the way around. And now we can add our base together. Fold in the first two pieces. The next two will come across like so. I need to hold that for a bit longer. If you use the two tabs which are opposite each other, so you're gluing those together, you will start to form the hexagonal shape. Then we can flip the bag up, and I can just go in from the top, and I'm just going to use my score tool just to spread the glue around. So that is the base of my bag. Now if you wanted to put a piece in the bottom of that, I would draw around the outside of the base, trim it down slightly, and then use that to put a piece in the bottom. So this is how the bag is going to come together. So I'm going to get on with the decoration, secure the bag, and then I'll give you the measurements that I've used for the pattern paper. Here's the finished decorated box. I've added patterned paper onto all of the exposed surfaces, as it were. The bottom squares are 1.5 inches times 1 3/4 inches. And for the triangles, I started by making a template just to make sure I got the right shape. This was a piece which was 3.5 inches by 1.5 inches. Along the 1.5 inch side, I marked at 3/4 inch and then cut the diagonals for the triangles. Laid that on the top to make sure I was happy with the look, and then I just replicated that 6 times for the pattern paper. Simple ribbon bow at the top. Now I added these hearts on to the outside because I wanted to disguise the scoring here, so I will add some additional hearts on. And because I'm putting them around an angle, I created one of the frog-like springs like so. So the heart is stuck on this bit, and then these two sides here are glued either side of the angled piece so that the heart sits slightly proud. But as I say, I will add some more hearts on around the outside because, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I've used the wrong weight cardstock for this particular project. But overall, we have a really sweet little treat bag, ideal for any occasion. So there we have today's project. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. And until next time, thanks for watching.